And as is typical at most air shows, we're going to have a crowd favourite to close the show this afternoon, and we're going to welcome the Royal Air Force Aerobatic team, the Red Arrows. We're going to go for a slightly different track this year. Rather than speak to the display pilots, we're going to find out about what happens behind the scenes. And I'm delighted to be joined by the new Red 10 Squadron Leader Graeme Muscat and the Senior Engineering Officer, or SENGO, who is Squadron Leader Chris Phipps. Very good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you doing?
Afternoon, Mike. Yeah, good, thanks.
Afternoon, Mike.
And you're in sunny Greece, I believe, at the moment.
Yeah, it's quite sunny. The temperature's gone up quite a lot in the last couple of days, so it's very nice.
The jets are behaving themselves as well, which is always a good thing.
That's the important thing. How many jets have you got out there?
So we've currently got 11 aircraft out here.
Brilliant. Right, I'm going to start off with you, if I can, Graeme, or Muskie, as you're known to everybody.
Yep.
And you're the new Red 10. How's that going so far?
Yeah, it's really good, really interesting. Obviously, I've only been in the chair since January, officially taken over from Adam Collins in March. But you know, as you're aware, there's a lot of work that goes on behind the scenes to get where we are, even now in the exercise. So a lot of hard work, a lot of learning, because I'm not a previous Red Arrow. So a lot of learning the shapes and what I'm looking for. Certainly, as you're aware, there's a team supervisor. You have to look out for safety and make sure that they're doing everything right. So trying to get comfortable and also debrief the pilots how they're doing and what they're doing. Trying to find the right language to use, because as I said, I've never flown it before, but it's interesting, really enjoyable. So yeah, so far so good.
And I guess actually you're saying about not having a Red Arrows background, that's probably quite good to have a fresh set of eyes to come in and see it from almost a different perspective.
I'd like to think so. Before this, I was a qualified flying instructor at Valley, flying on the T2, so I've got plenty of Hawk experience and plenty of analytical experience about what things I'm looking for. So hopefully, using the guidance that Adam gave me and speaking to the OC and speaking to the team leader, Red 1, Squadron Leader Tom Bold, I've learned the skills and learned for what I'm looking for. So hopefully, I'm getting it right. So far, so good.
Brilliant. And what did you fly before you flew the Hawk T2, Muskie?
So I was on Tornado GR4, based with 9 Squadron and 13 Squadron at Marham. It was a good aircraft. I left to go and do other things. I didn't see it out of service, but it's a shame that she's no longer with us. But she was a great aircraft to fly.
And I take it you're looking forward to the challenges that the 2022 display season poses for the Red Arrows. How about your commentary? How's that coming on? I know most people think that Red 10 is simply the team commentator, but of course there are many, many roles behind. Tell us how your commentary prep's going and some of your other roles as Red 10.
Yeah, so the commentary, it's really important because that is the conduit, the way that you interact with the public. I've written it a couple of times. Clearly, I'm using advice from Andy Morton, our PR manager as well, to get our messages right. But ultimately, it's kind of just looking what the team are doing, try and put some narrative together, think about the key messages. But yes, I've written it about 4 or 5 times. I have a little video that the videographers that have given me on my iPad that I watch in my quieter times and just keep on running it through, try and make it as flawless as possible. But obviously, as you said, in between that, I'm also doing safety stuff in terms of making sure that our display sites are all safe. We can operate there within the regulations, and liaising with all the flying display directors to make sure our timings are right. As you're aware, we go all around the country, making sure that all the jigsaw puzzles are put together so actually it becomes seamless, and trying to take as much load as possible off the pilots who are actually flying.
Brilliant. Let's move over to Chris now. So Chris, you are the Senior Engineering Officer at the Red Arrows, so that makes you the head blue as such. Could you just explain who the Red Arrows engineering team are?
Yeah, certainly. So I joined the team in January this year, so I've been on the team now for just over 5 months. So the engineering blues, as they're known as, are the team pretty much a mixture of Trade Group 1 engineering technicians. We've got safety equipment fitters, supply, armourers, avionics, mechanical technicians, all who form the engineering backbone to support the Reds in achieving its mission objectives. So we've got a team of about 100 engineers in total, the majority of which have all come from previous operational backgrounds, so they all bring their unique experiences from past experiences to the team, which is really great.
I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is when they watch the Red Arrows display, you see those jets in the air putting on the performance, they don't understand that that's the sort of top of the pyramid, and actually supporting that top of the pyramid is the entire structure behind the rest of the unit, which is, as you say, 100 engineers plus all the support staff.
Yeah, correct, Mike. Being an Engo, so it would be wrong of me not to give you some statistics. So for every one flying hour, it takes approximately 26 workforce hours to generate that one flying hour. And in addition to that, we're not just dealing with the day-to-day rectification. There's a lot of planning which goes on throughout the winter line. So pulling all primary maintenances to leave us predominantly maintenance free while we're out here, so that we can just react to any unserviceabilities.
And when it comes to logistics, obviously it's a big machine to get around the UK and Europe this summer. Who sorts the logistics? Who would be in charge of arranging all of that?
So it's a combination of factors, really. So partly myself, our supply system within the Reds, and also that's coordinated by the Force headquarters. So there's a lot of work that looks at statistically what we've used previously on previous Springhawks, previous display seasons, so that we can get an understanding of what common spares we're going to be using. So we can try and basically get a stockpile of stuff to help see us through. Obviously that does present its own challenges. Hawk's a legacy platform now, nearly 40 years in service. So to generate some of those bits does present its own challenges sometimes.
Yeah, well, you're touching on a good point, and this is an oft-asked question: what is the future of the Hawk? Are the Red Arrows going to change aircraft? I'm asked all the time. When are the Red Arrows getting a new jet? What can you tell us?
So what I can tell you at the moment is out of service date, or OSD as we refer to it, is been set at 2030. So the platform, we will operate that until 2030. There's currently some discussions about future platforms, but nothing confirmed yet. But to allow us to safely achieve an out of service date of 2030, we need to generate a stockpile of aircraft. So we've currently got aircraft in storage. We've currently got a forward available fleet of 14 aircraft on the squadron. 3 of those are always in some form of deck maintenance. So what we will do, we'll swap out some of those aircraft as they start to approach their fatigue index backstop, their flying hours backstop, and we'll swap them out so that we've got aircraft to see us through to 2030.
It sounds very complicated, but there's obviously a very solid plan there to make that happen. I'm looking forward to seeing the wonderful jet carry on its service till 2030. Let's go back to Muskie. So 2022, I think the busiest display season since 2018. Talk us through what's coming up over the summer.
Yeah, you're right, Mike. So we are looking circa 60, 65 displays, approximately 10, 15 fly pasts. And as you said, the team hasn't done that since pre-COVID, 2018. So it's your usual favourites, Torbay, Bournemouth, React, Eastbourne, some big shows, some big crowds. Certainly React, I believe, is going to be one of the busiest, having not been taking place since before COVID. So exciting places. We've also got, actually, fingers crossed, once we get PDA, we've got Le Touquet in France on the way home, which will be our first public engagement. So really looking forward to that, as well as a potential overseas display in Denmark as well. So yeah, we are international. We're certainly doing some really good shows, but of course, hopefully, leading up the first week of the season is the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. So there's a lot of celebrations going along all around the country, which hopefully we can play a part and make that event just a little bit more special for everybody that's involved.
And quite literally fly the flag. I guess you're really looking forward to it. You mentioned PDA there. Can you just briefly explain to the viewers what PDA is, please, Muskie?
Yeah, right. So we've got PDA, which stands for Public Display Authority. So all the display teams throughout the Air Force, and actually probably worldwide, have to go through a process. And we are signed off by one of our senior officers. In our instance, it's actually Air Officer Commanding 1 Group. And he will come out and he will effectively inspect and a standard visit of the team. It includes all the engineering, all the paperwork, the ops, and how we operate as a squadron. As well as, obviously, he will supervise and the displays, make sure they're fit for purpose, they're safe, and also that they're actually representative of what the Red Arrows stand for, which is, as you know, is excellence. So he will come out over a number of days, make sure that we are adhering to those standards, and then fingers crossed, at the end of it, he'll give us a thumbs up, he'll sign the piece of paper, and that is us then cleared to perform in front of the public.
Well, I'm wishing you all the very best for both the Reds and the Blues, and hopefully by the time this is shown on live on the Armchair Airshow, we can tell them it's been good news and that you are cleared to display. So very good luck, everybody. Let's go back to Chris. The press announced a couple of years ago that unfortunately the wonderful base of RAF Scampton in Lincolnshire is having to close, and that the Red Arrows are having to find a new home. What's the situation there?
Yeah, so the current plan is for us to move to Waddington. So we're looking to do that around about October time this year. So there's been a lot of pre-planning, as you can imagine, just to move a squadron in its entirety. It takes quite a lot of planning and effort. So current forecast is to move over to Waddington in around about October time. We'll set up there, and the plan is to try and offer the Reds to seamlessly transition across, so that we don't input or impact anything to do with display flying, or even the future tour that's coming up later this year as well.
Very exciting. I'm sure we'll hear more about that later on throughout the summer. One last thing, Muskie, what can the crowds look forward to in terms of new display manoeuvres for 2022?
Mike, it's all the usual favourites are there. It's still a fast, dynamic, exciting show. All the favourites are in. There's some great displays, some great shows, but I'd watch out for the double goose. The double goose is making its return. It's a very exciting manoeuvre involving the front section and the rear section. So hopefully that'll wow the crowd and put down some colour smoke. And there's a little bit of a special manoeuvre in there for the Queen's Platinum Jubilee. I don't want to give away too much, but it's lots of smoke, lots of noise, and lots of colour.
And from what I've seen on Twitter this week, the Infinity Break making a return?
Yep, that is true. Squadron Leader Tom Bold, Infinity Break. I think he really enjoys that particular manoeuvre because it's one of the only times he tends to have a bit more freedom to roll around the formation. But it's a great way to end the show, and it's a great manoeuvre, and it's really a spectacle with that red smoke against the sky.
Brilliant. Well, Squadron Leader Graeme Muscat, Muskie, and Squadron Leader Chris Phipps, thank you very much for coming on to support the Armchair Airshow and Aerobility. Please pass on our best to all of the Reds and all of the Blues, and wish you very best of luck for a safe and successful 2022 display season.
Thanks, Mike. Look forward to seeing everybody when we're home.